Hi, I'm really glad that I bought the AVATA 2. And I hate actually those thumbnails where it says, watch before you buy the AVATA. No, check this before you buy the AVATA, blah, blah, blah. It's just phishing. I don't like that at all. But I say, I'm glad that I bought the AVATA 2. And I will tell you a story, because I think it requires a bit of story before I go into the AVATA 2. Because I've been flying drones for like 12, 13 years now. And, in the beginning I made these tricopters, and I will show you a little bit of that here. And then eventually I started off with the quadcopters, and this is a typical FPV quadcopter. And I still have a couple of these left. I don't know how many I have built of these. I think it's about 10 of them actually that I built. And they are very quick, they're very agile and so on, and you fly them with the sticks as usually, so that's not a problem. Then I bought the Phantom 3. I don't have the drone left, but after that I bought the Mavic 2. And I think that all from the beginning, so to speak, when I started off with the tricopters and so on, I was about trying to get as good movies or pictures or whatever as I could with the drones that I have. Stabilize them in the computer, blah, 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 but they still looked very awful compared to what we have today. But when the Mavic 2 came out, I mean, that changed that ball game, because this was like the camera in the air, and you could get really nice images and films with it from the air. But this is a typical film drone, so it's a different ball game compared to the AVATA 2, for instance. And this is a typical FPV drone that you fly fast with. And I think people are a little bit confused about the AVATA 2 in that sense, because it's like an FPV drone. But yes, it is. It is very similar to that drone actually, but it's very different also. And I would say that the largest difference is that actually is the motion controller. And I fly only with the motion controller. I don't think I will buy the sticks at all, actually, because I've been into the sticks. I know how it will go. You will fly faster and faster. You will dive, you will do stuff like that. And eventually you will crash, or very early you will crash, I would say. So if you plan to go to fly manual with your AVATA 2, I'm very sure that you will crash pretty quickly with it. And the thing with the AVATA 2 is that it's not made for crashes. I mean, this is super light. It's plastic. It's very fragile, I would say. While these old-fashioned FPV drones, they're like this carbon arm here is like 3-4 millimeters thick, at least 5 maybe, actually. So this you can actually crash pretty hard and nothing happens with it. You maybe break a propeller blade or something like that, but usually the drone survives very good. But this thing, I doubt it will survive any of those crashes I typically make with FPV drones. It will end up in DJI care. I think that is the biggest confusion with the AVATA 2, is that people think of it as an FPV drone and you have to fly it with the sticks. But I don't think that is the case actually. What I have found out, because I'm very glad that I bought the AVATA 2, because what I have found out is that you can fly very low, very slow, and you can fly through very different difficult areas with the drone very easily with the motion controller. So I think that is the key thing with this drone, that I've never been able to fly through the woods as I do with the AVATA 2. I've never been able to sneak close to the ground and watch down and stuff like that I've been doing with the AVATA 2, for instance. These drones, they can fly slow also. But the thing is that you all usually have the camera pointing quite high up. And when you're diving, for instance, the drone will pick speed. And eventually you will come down like in a very high speed, close to the ground. And then you have to like brake and something like that. But the AVATA 2 operates differently. What happens is that if you dive, the drone never actually goes like this. It goes just like down like that. But the camera will be pointing down, so it looks like you're diving, but it's not going very fast. I don't think that matters actually, because the thing is that you can actually look down and you can dive into a very small window or something like that between the trees, stuff like that. So it's very like easy to come down. And I think that the slow motion factor with Avata 2 is really nice. I know that you can fly with this drone as you do with the like the original FPV drones. I know this can go fast. I know this can be agile. I know that you can do all the flips and all the most maneuvers with this as you can do with the old-fashioned drones. But I don't do it because I've been doing it with old drones, and I mean it's more like flying. It's not for filming. So if you're interested in flying experience, you're interested in the adrenaline kick when you're coming down and you brake and you fly very fast through an obstacle or something like that, yeah, then go ahead and buy the sticks. But if you want to do relaxing videos, just cruise around, have a ball, look everywhere in the sky, up and down and so on, then keep it as it is with the motion controller. I think that the motion controller is very good actually. You don't need to use 2 arms, for instance, 2 hands. And I know that some people actually have problem, coordinating their hands. And if you haven't actually used sticks on any drone before, and this is the first time you fly a drone with a motion controller, I think that going to the sticks, it's much harder than actually. Going from the sticks to the motion controller is like, oh, this is a new way of flying. So it's not that difficult. But it's very intuitive, and I think it's nice because you have a good check of the speed, and it brakes very quickly when you release the throttle. And the fact that you can dive and climb and turn, you can turn very sharp turns with this one. Then you have the top hat control here on top, that you can actually climb straight up, go straight down and left and right. So that in combination with the tilt, you can do things like circling an object like that. But the really good thing comes with the head tracking. And that is something that if you haven't tried it, please try it. And you have to fly a couple of batteries before you get it. And when you try the head tracking, don't go around like this. I mean, keep your head where it is. But start, for instance, by looking up and down slowly. So remember, on the Mavic, for instance, we could tilt the camera. You can do it on the Avata 2 also, that you can use the wheel on the side before you lift up. But it's very good for tilting the camera slowly or looking at something that you want to focus on. For instance, let's say that you're following a model airplane in the air, or you're following a car on the ground or something like that, or whatever, bicycle or people or whatever. It's very easy to actually just look on it and put the circle on that thing that you want to follow. The head tracking gives you a lot of additional, I would say, views that you don't get if you fly only with a motion controller, not using the head tracking, because the camera will be pointing more or less straight forward. So that means that you can fly very close to the ground, but you can't look down on the ground because they will be going down on the ground because you have to point the drone down. So it's very easy to actually to fly just straight ahead and then look down and continue straight ahead, and you'll be skimming the surface of water in a pond or whatever by looking down. It's very nice. Also the thing that we go up in the sky high, that you can look both down and up. And it's also a great effect when you are very low and you look very high up, because then you can look up in the tree canopies and stuff like that, and then you can just point your motion controller, the circle up there, and go to the tree canopies if you want to do that. So I think this combination of the motion controller and the head tracking is really, really interesting actually, and it takes some time before you get used to it. And if you feel like, oh, I'm getting so dizzy, whatever, in the beginning with the head tracking, you have to give it a couple of batteries, as I said, and don't turn your head around wild and crazy. The thing that happens with the head tracking sometimes is that if you look very long time, for instance, let's say that you look to the left and you fly straight ahead. Then when you turn your head back straight ahead, the circle stays to the right or something like that. And that means that the drone will be flying diagonally through the air. So you have to look more right to get it straight, and then when you look straight again, it starts going still diagonally. So that is a thing that happens, that the head tracking gets out of sync, I think, sometimes. Then you have to disengage the head tracking and put it on again, and it will be back on the middle. There is a meter on top that you can see how you've been turning your head. You can also see that there comes like a dark band, and it actually is like out of track, more or less, out of sync, or what I would say. So this drone is a different kind of drone, I would say, that DJI has done, and it's a nice combo. Because I was not at all interested in buying a typical FPV drone with a good camera, for instance. It wasn't the thing I was looking for. But this drone, you can actually fly so slow, and you can fly it so precisely. And I think the preciseness is very good. And I think that's a key factor with this thing, that combined with the motion controller, that you can fly very precisely and smoothly. And then with the combination of the head tracking, it's really, really nice to be able to look down and up and sideways or something like that. So I think that's really good. So I liked the AVATA 2 a lot. And if you're into buying a new drone and you want to fly, let's say, depends on what you had before, of course. But if you've been flying these and you want to fly this as the old-fashioned FPV drones, I think you will be a bit disappointed. I mean, it's not the same thing. So you have to. It's like cars; they are different, you know. Every car is a bit different for everything. So it's not suitable for the things you do with that drone to fly with this drone. So you have to find another niche for flying with this drone. The view in the goggles is excellent. It's very, very good. You can see almost everything with it, especially when you fly slow through the woods, something like that. You can see every branch, you can see every grass, you can see everything with it, actually. It's really good. And I have, of course, implemented the ham file hack, but I have not had any big issues with the range so far. This drone is not very suitable for flying super far away from you. I wouldn't say it's that kind of drone either, actually. And it's not the drone that you fly very high up in the air, actually, either. It's quite light, and so it's very wind sensitive. So let's say that you have the wind coming from this direction. The drone will then tilt like that to stay in position in the air. And the view in the goggles will be also tilted, of course. In the end, the camera will correct that if you want to. The camera can be put into horizon mode and will keep the image leveled all the time. So that's not a big issue. So in windy days, I usually fly like that. I use the horizon mode on the camera if I want to go high, for instance, because it's not very fun to have, let's say, a sequence where you fly straight ahead and the whole thing is leaning to the left or right. But if you're flying low, close to the ground, it's not so windy, then I usually fly with the stabilization that is in the camera. And I think that stabilization works very, very well. There is no point in using gyroflow or something like that. It's just it doesn't give you very much more. I usually fly in 4K 30. I usually fly in the wide view in the camera. I'm not using the ultra wide and I'm not using the narrow, and I think that gives me a really good view. And also that view is then reflected into the goggles, of course. So if you fly 4x3, for instance, you will only see a 4x3 picture in the goggles, which is not very perfect, maybe. And I think that the camera is very good, actually, in many ways. I haven't been tweaking it very much yet. I haven't been I've been flying it in auto basically. And what I can see that the exposures are very good usually, and the colors are great, and the color balance is good, and the color balance is very quick. So if you fly from one area to another area, the color balance and stuff like that will change during your flight, but I think the AVATA handles it quite well actually. And so I think it's a very nice drone, and it's very nice combination with the motion controller. And this is another thing that you have also to give a second try if you have discharged it from the beginning. So that as a toy, I don't want to play with that one. Please try it again. It's really nice actually. It's very fun combination with the head tracking. And there is quite many functions actually in the drone that only works with the motion control and the head tracking. If you go to the sticks, you will narrow down the functionalities in the drone. You will basically have an FPV drone again, as the old ones. So if you want to have that, go ahead and do that. But if you want to use all the new functionalities that is in the drone, stay with the motion controller. I will do so. See you in the future. Bye-bye.